Now, hold on. Is there anywhere in this town you can get a decent pint of Guinness?
Try Duffy's Irish Bar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for somewhere where, I can get a pint of Guinness and listen to a great band at the weekend.
Try Duffy's Irish Bar.
Yeah, look, that's not all I need, okay? You say Duffy's Irish Bar. I need to be able to watch the match in a comfortable place, in English, have a pint of Guinness, and then see a band afterwards on a Saturday. Where can I get that?
Duffy's Irish Bar.
Jesus.
Dave, can we start the episode now, please? Right, so we're very happy to welcome a special guest to the studio today. He's the owner and operator of Krakow's only real Irish pub, Fergus Duffy. Welcome to the KrakCast.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me up.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question I'm sure no one has ever asked you down at the pub. No one. What brought you to Poland?
Well, I was thinking of getting a T-shirt done with that.
Well, are you going to acknowledge the sarcasm of my question? Because I'm sure you get asked, 10 times a day, right?
Like I said, I'm trying to get a T-shirt done with the actual answer on it, just that I don't have to...
Yeah, just point to your chest and say, this is what, exactly.
Subtitles, yeah.
All right, so indulge us and give us the executive version
Thank you for bringing Bulmers.
Bulmers. Well, I, like a lot of other people, I met a girl in Ireland.
Always a girl, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, never a guy. I met a girl.
Polish guys aren't worth it.
I met a girl in Ireland about 17 or 18 years ago, and we got together in Ireland and we started to travel over and back to Krakow, and over time she had sort of half decided to come back, and I was very interested in a career change at the time. I've been working very hard in my own business in Ireland, hairdressing, and
Did my hair for my wedding. Did a great job.
Done his whole family's hair for the wedding. Done the brides. No, maybe not the brides. We done the mother-in-law, and we done the. So I wanted a career change, John. I guess would be the right answer to that question.
And whereabouts in Ireland are you from exactly?
East Coast, from about 20 kilometres from Dublin.
A small place I wouldn't know.
You would never heard of it.
Try me.
Kells.
Never heard of it.
So there you go. A little heritage town, population 4.5. It does have a book, yeah.
Oh, Book of Kells. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that does have a book, yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit in your own story here. So you come to Krakow, you see what a great place it is. At what point did you say, hey, maybe opening my own place is the thing to do?
Well, you're right. I did decide opening my own place was the right thing to do. So I opened up a hairdresser's. I opened up a hairdresser's up in the north of the city, up by Aqua Park, which is still open actually.
Well, Park Vodney.
Yeah, just across from Park Vodney, and it's still open and it's still going very well. We built up the business, and after a few years, I handed it over to one of the girls that was working for me. And I still go in about twice a month to make sure that everything's going on.
But was there something about running a pub that was just kind of calling you?
No, I love people. So it was an easy thing to do. I spent 20 years hairdressing, listening to people and talking and chatting, and I think the connection between that and the pub is very, very similar. You listen to a lot of fucking sad stories. You tend to. I just like people. I do really like people. I have a fondness for people.
I want to talk about the location, because I thought it was a great location that you chose, Fergie, and it's all about, as they say, location.
Absolutely. I think after spending some time in the city working for in a bar, in a busy Irish bar up on Swakowska, which we had done the renovation on, and I was offered a position of managing the place at the time, and I sort of managed that bar, the Irish Arms. I managed that for about a couple of years, I think. I initially wasn't thinking of managing the bar. I was happy to help with the renovation, with the construction of it. I had a huge interest in that. And then I was asked, would I be interested in maybe managing the bar full time? And I said, yeah. So.
And when you open your own place, Duffy's, again, in case I didn't mention that earlier, it's at the corner of, what is it, Wawrzyncha? What's that other street? Wawrzyncha and? Bartosz. So it's a little quiet corner just off Plac Nowy. And how long have you been there now?
For 2 years in June. 2 years in June. It wasn't strategic. I know Blackie and a few of the lads I had been in it before, in its previous owner's time.
Grizzly pub,
yeah, a rough old Polish bar.
Any place called Grizzly's going to be rough, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was like calling it Cutthroat to Cutthroat. You know, it was a rough old pub. Ran mostly by the Viswa Ultras at the time. I don't know if I can say that or not.
No, but I can remember a time when that location where you are now, that was in kind of the periphery, kind of the edge of the scene in Kazimierz. But now it's very much part of that, the overall vibe of Kazimierz is definitely present where you are as well.
Absolutely, because you're surrounded on both sides. You have Plac Vanica, you have Plac Nove, and you also have Podgórze, which is after in the last few years exploding, and it's so hipster and it's so cool, and there's so many people. You have some really nice walkways to that area with bridges. You know what I mean? It is a pretty nice area. It is a pretty nice area.
And you're like, 100 meters down from, how do you say the name of the place? Stara Zajezdnia? Which is a big deal now.
This is huge.
And it creates a lot of traffic on that street, doesn't it?
Describe it for our listeners.
The food trucks as well.
The food trucks probably just about on an average Saturday night. There's probably about 1,000 people in around the food trucks. I know that all the guys that work there. I know the owners of the food trucks. But Stara Zajezdnia, they hold concerts for example, they had 500 people last weekend from the Norwegian choirs. Like, what's that all about? But it was the business that brought to the bar, to that area, to the street, with young people. You know, it was a really... Stara Zajezdnia is great.
Are they big drinking young choir going Norwegians?
Yeah, a lot of drink as fast as they can, yeah.
So the more food trucks in the neighborhood and the kind of the hipsterization of the neighborhood, in a sense, this is a good thing in your view, or what's your take on the character that the neighborhood has taken on?
The character of the neighbourhood, I can understand why City Council want to try and preserve it as much as they can. It is a very historic area. The street, I think, is the only street in the city that doesn't have fibre optic broadband. They've never dug it up. The tram line from the museum, the old tram runs out of there, the Zero runs out of there every Sunday on a little tour up and around the town and back in, and they polish it and put it back into the museum on a Sunday evening, with two guys running out in front of it, making sure that nobody climbs it on the way up the street.
And you did a very nice job on the exterior, the black doors, the Guinness sign.
I had a bit of problem with the city council with the colour of...
Careful, Fergie.
I know.
Mike Krofsky listens to this religiously.
All right, okay. So they give me a list of RAL paint numbers, or RAL numbers, that I could only paint the front of the bar a certain colour, and they suggested a colour that I wasn't so happy with, and I went with my own. I'm still waiting to get the ticket for that, which I'm sure I will.
It's a beautiful regal green.
Emerald green wasn't on their list.
So you mentioned some of the problems associated with running a bar, running any business, really. Take us through what it's like the nuts and bolts, the guts of running an Irish pub day to day.
From the top of the morning, so to speak.
Brilliant. There you go. We had to get that in at least once. But I think the nuts and bolts of it, well, I spent all my time when I was renovating, and I spent a lot of time renovating again, and I enjoy the renovating of it, of the premises. But the nuts and bolts of it is, I wasn't trying to attract the city crowd. I wasn't trying to attract the huge stag parties or the huge hen parties. I had seen enough of this in my time in the bar on Swakowska.
It's a small pub, and if there's stag parties in there, they really kind of take over the place. So you're very good at making sure that they know the rules when they come through the door.
Absolutely,
they're going to have a drink and behave themselves. That's grand.
They're very welcome. They're very welcome to come in with nobody else's drink in them.
I should give a little tour of the bar, a little virtual tour for our listeners who haven't been down to Duffy's. You walk in, it's very cozy. The front room. Yeah. You got couches around here. You got a lot of pictures on the wall. You got a little wooden bar. It's very cozy. It's very good for a sing-song session, by the way.
It is. The front bar fits about 25 people comfortable, and which is relatively small. But then, if you look at some of the bars in the Jewish quarter, it's not that small either, because a lot of them are even smaller than that. And then we fit 55 in the lounge, or 60 in the lounge seating.
Yeah, it's a grand room, the lounge.
Yeah, the lounge is lovely.
That steps down. It's got arched brick ceilings. Yeah. It's got very atmospheric red brick feel to it.
Absolutely, it's nice. I love.
I'm selling the shit out of a Fergus.
Yeah, you're doing really well. You're doing better than me, actually. But you're right. the front bar, John, I fell in love with it the first time I was in it, which wasn't when I owned it. I like the atmosphere of the front bar. It's very Irish looking. It's got a very Irish feel about it, regardless of the decoration, regardless of anything. It just feels like a snug of a pub in Ireland. If you've been to a snug of a pub in Ireland, that's what it feels. And that's what I loved about it. I missed that when I was here first. I missed that because my local pub for 10 years in the city centre, I won't say the name of it, but they never knew my name. They didn't know who I was. They never cared, actually. The difference is we care, and I'm trying to teach the staff to care, to ask people, how is their day going? How are you doing? Were you on any trips? You know, have you had food? You know, whatever.
Well, the feel of a local, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had customers in there, John, and I've had a little fella in there, I won't say his nationality because it's irrelevant, but he had said that he'd been in the city for 14 months and nobody ever spoke to him in a bar.
I talk to everyone with him down there because the thing I like about that room is you
have no choice.
You have no choice but to talk to Dave when I'm in that room.
Exactly.
I was like, where are you from?
Yeah. But I had this kid in.
I love that room. It's great.
Yeah, I had this kid in, John, and this is true. He had never spoken to anybody in 14 months in the city, or to anybody, a one-to-one conversation. Within an hour, I was doing FaceTime with his father. Do you know what I mean? which is ridiculous. And he still comes in.
We should say we all met in an Irish pub, the old Irish Arms on Paselska, and that the back bar had the high tables, and that had it was a different setup, but it had the same feel. You were so close to each other, you couldn't help but hearing each other's conversations, and everyone a couple of points, you were all butting in, and
you're slagging each other, you're taking the piss. You know what I mean? You're
doing karaoke together.
Yeah, a completely different vibe than compared to like Polish bars and pubs where people just go in for the alcohol, for the drink, but they don't actually socialize or talk with the staff or make it into a place of like a community. But yeah, the Irish Arms or now Duffy's are exactly what everybody needs.
Well, this is the thing, and I think the trick to it all is, for example, even today, before I came here to the studio, today I had two people who I had been speaking to, husband and wife, and they were sitting inside the door. Yeah, I know it is very.
I haven't had a bummers in years.
It is very tasty. Delicious. But I had a husband and wife who was sitting there, and another couple came in, and
I heard they use Polish apples.
Sorry,
you're not John.
You have to get used to Dave interrupting, Fergus. It's basically what he does around here.
It has been mentioned that they use Polish apples. I don't know. They use 17 different types of apples in one bottle.
17 types?
Yeah.
Triple distilled.
And I didn't even know there were 17 different types of apples. But
are you going to let Fergie finish the story, Dave?
But anyway, I think the whole trick to it is putting people together.
Yeah.
What I done today was, somebody was in Auschwitz yesterday, somebody was in the salt mines today, and they ended up speaking. Before you know it, they're having a drink together, they're having a chat, they're talking about their flight over, they're talking about why they came there. Plus, it stops me having to fucking talk to some of them. I don't mean like that, but like
art of the craft.
It gives me a break. You know what I mean? It gives me a break.
That's a talent in itself, isn't it?
It gives me a break and telling them why I actually moved to Poland, how long I'm here. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like asking the taxi driver, "Are you busy? What time are you working till?" You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
So you put the flag on the wall. You try to get the staff to be friendly, as you say, get to know people and whatnot. What are the other little things you can do to try to recreate that feel of a real Irish bar back home?
I think
hire Polish girls.
Yeah, because my hometown is full of Polish girls in Ireland. I don't know. I think what's very important is atmosphere. I think to try and create the atmosphere that it's comfortable, that it's warm, that it's cozy or cool if it's too hot, or the beer is cold. The
little things, yeah.
The little thing. I'm trying to think what the little things.
You recently, upgraded the toilets. So
yeah, we put in a brand new 4 toilets on a huge renovation. Actually,
nicely done.
Very nicely done. Somebody compared it to the Radisson Hotel, would you believe, actually?
Yeah, I think that was me. I was only messing with him.
Oh, it was actually.
Sheraton.
No, but John, I don't know.
I'm only joking there. Really.
John, what I think is, we try and set the tone. We try and set the tone for the place. Let it be with sport or with music or just the feel of the place. I think it's very important to get people comfortable, to make them feel welcome. I think to make them feel welcome is very important. I can walk past any bar in the city or in Kazimierz and whatever, and look in the windows, and you can see a little boy and a girl holding hands over a candle and having a beer. That's not the type of customers that we have. Yeah. We don't. We just try and get them. I'll always offer everybody a free drink when they come in. Everybody.
Actually, I just realised something. We shouldn't be doing this interview. It's always packed anyway. I don't want more people coming there. You're never going to fucking see anyway.
Actually,
waiting too long at the bar for a beer.
Blackie advised me to take down my social media because
man, it's getting too crowded.
It's not.
Speaking of music and speaking of social media, if you go to the bar's Facebook page, You see
TripAdvisor drives
you
every
see
bar
clip
on the
after
map.
clip of people, great sing-alongs. You get fantastic live music there. The evening inevitably ends up with the whole bar singing together, right?
Let me just say something here. March 16th this year.
Yeah.
One of the most haunting renditions I've ever heard of Willie McBride was sung in that bar, led by Dave Muldowney, contributed to by yours truly.
And that was on the night that, what happened that night?
I don't know. England, there was the rugby was on all day, wasn't it?
I think one of the best sessions we had was when Ireland didn't qualify.
Oh my God, that was a great night. Yeah, Denmark humped us 5-1. These four sad looking Danish dudes at the bar, and we're like having this great session all night. We was everything whacked out on that acoustic guitar from Prince to AC/DC.
Yes.
Oh, it was a magic.
And that was when the night they didn't qualify. You know, that was when we were knocked out of the qualifier.
And as the Danish lads left, we were just looking at it and going, that's what the Euros just won. You know?
Yeah, that's what they're
not
missing.
much.
So in these great sing-alongs, and again, your Facebook page is full of them. A lot of Irish tourists, British tourists, and whatnot. And it makes me think about the difference between the way that the tourists behave when they're in your bar and the local Polish people.
The difference between the tourists and the area that I'm trying to tap into, the Polish customers that we do tap into. I'll give you an example. For Tuesday night, Wednesday night, to say like Champions League or Europa League or something like that, we do full reservations, full house, no expats, no tourists, no nothing, all Polish. 85 Polish people in the bar, having a drink, enjoying the sport. When the whistle goes, they usually go behind it. When the Irish are there,
I used to always say it's like you farted into the air conditioning at the end of the match or something. The way they all just file out of the building in an orderly fashion. Like, it's like, come on, at least some of you stick around.
So, for example, earlier on today, Celtic won the league. The whistle went. They ordered another round. They ordered a few bottles of vodka. Like the session goes on a lot longer. The Polish boys, the Polish customers and girls, they have things to do tomorrow. They have things to do this evening or whatever. The tourists are different. The drink is too cheap. For a start, they'll stay longer.
Too cheap. I think that's all up to you.
Well, it's probably Well, I don't know. It's the area sort of dictates that it's nearly half the price of the square of some of the bars in Kazimierz. Like we are relatively cheap as far as the square goes. I know our prices.
You do carry some premium products like
but we do.
Magners.
We do.
Would you like a top up, Fergie?
I would, surely, please.
Put it in there.
There you go. Oh, jeez.
There you go, filled. Absolutely.
He's going to want me to pour it back into his glass.
Yeah, you got the good end of that.
Cheers. No, there's no real difference. We all like the party. They all like the party. But the tourists do spend a lot.
They're on vacation, so they behave differently. Everybody behaves differently on vacation, right?
Absolutely. We're trying to curtail the size of the shots at the moment and reflect it in our price as well. I think 50 mils is too dear or too big for a customer. You know, I think before they know it, they've got 250 mils and 5 shots.
40 is a big.
I have to say, I've never seen an owner that likes to break out the shots as much as Fergie.
I do like a shot. I do like a shot myself. There's no doubt about it. I do tend to have a bottle in my pocket going around the bar.
Very, very generous, liberally generous with the shots.
Fergie, let me ask about something. We did an episode on, about 2 weeks ago, I guess, stag parties. Now, being an Irish bar, they're going to find you. What's your take on stag parties?
Right. Well, I'm not going to be any form racist or stereotype. Stagist, whatever it is. So it can be Irish. It can be Irish. It can be German. It can be English. It can be Scottish. They do get out of hand. They really do get out of hand. We are trying to limit the time of the day that the stag party will come to the bar. We're trying to, and after 6 o'clock, we're probably going to say, listen, lads, it's not the place for you. But the stags are wild. They're hard work. They create. They can great fun. There was a gang in today. This morning. There was 9 lads in. 100%. The nice lads. Nobody else's drink inside them. Came in, had their drink, and they left about 4 o'clock before I came up here. Some of the stags, like last weekend, we had 16 lads from Wales, for example, but they were from Wales, and they wrecked the place. They pulled flags off the wall. They took jerseys. They break. They disrespect the bathrooms. They disrespect the place, the people, the customers. So instead of me being able to keep the door open if it's too warm,
that's a very nice way of describing puking and shitting all over the place. I have to say,
disrespect.
I've had to walk into that horror scene when they've had a stag party disrespect my toilet before. Trust me, it's some traumatic flashbacks happening.
You had a very big pub there too, Blackie. You know what it's like. And
my God.
And it's a tough ask to tell anybody to go in and sort out a bathroom, after a stag party. Like I'd rather do it myself, and I do it myself. I do it myself. But for example, last Saturday they kicked the dustbin up and down the street full of cigarettes. The bin in the bathroom, a metal bin in the bathroom. I don't know why I bought a metal bin, but they decided to fold it up and put it in half.
Obviously, yeah.
But you live and learn. So
they spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money in the bar, but they drive a lot of business out.
Absolutely.
As well.
That's not the trade. I want the local trade into the bar. I want
net. In a perfect world, you'd be okay with no stag parties coming in.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I don't want.
You don't see many.
I don't need SpongeBob or I had 8 Robin Hoods in one night. That's no way to spend an evening. You know what I mean? That's a tough night, right?
A bunch of men in tights. Yeah, not
a maid marrying between them. You know what I mean? There was literally there was 8 Robin Hoods, and then Mr. Blobby turned up on Friday evening, and I says,
I haven't seen a Mr. Blobby in years, man.
Well, you should have been down in the bar on Friday evening because
the year of the Borat Mankini was the worst, though. That was, when the Borat movie came out, that was like
that changed the landscape of Krakow.
Like a Jesus moment in stag culture.
Even recently.
Let me ask about something else we've spoken about quite a bit here on the KrakCast.
Can I just interrupt?
What? That's what you do, Dave, is interrupt. So please go ahead.
The best one I ever said, I turned the bar I ran was on the main square pretty much, and I turn around on Starsky and I look down the street, and it's like the moody street lamps, and running up the road, right, in a perfect V formation is 40 guys wearing all black with Batman signal t-shirts, and the lead guy, the stag, actually dressed in the full Batman costume. It was one of the most amazingly weird things. And they were running for some reason towards the main square, like all towards me.
I've had a
torrent of Batmen.
Backs out of hell.
Yes.
I've had a few surreal moments in the bar. It's not something that I cherish. Like, it's not something that we hope for and pray for. It's not something that we don't need it, regardless of the money. The money is fine. It's great. It's nice to get it, but at the price that you pay for it, and to lose the local customers, which I need, which I want.
Exactly. They're the ones going to come back again and again.
That's the real dilemma. You want to give the guys a chance.
That's 12 months of the year. The local customers is 12 months of the year. The stags are only for 3 months.
And they're not going to disrespect the bathroom either.
They don't disrespect the bathroom. No, they're very apologetic if they do.
Let me ask about something else. Unless, Dave, another interruption to... No?
For now, you may continue.
Let me ask about something else we've spoken about quite a bit on the KrakCast. That's the issue of strip clubs and people getting ripped off in strip clubs. Now, I imagine you hear about some of the effects of this with people coming in your place after getting ripped off in the strip club, yeah?
Sure. Well, you pick up the pieces, is what you're saying. Like, I've had lads... I could give you numerous examples of lads that have been ripped off. I'll give you one example. I was at my home when... I can't remember what it was. It was probably on a Sunday. I think it was on a Sunday or a Monday afternoon. And my phone rang, and it was a guy calling from Ireland, quite distressed, a tremble in his voice, that his son was in a spot of bother, that his son had been robbed in a strip, and his colleague had been robbed in a strip club the night before. He had got a vague message from his son to say that he needed money. Basically, he had run out of money, even though he had only been in Krakow like a day. He contacted his father. Can you send some money? So his father googled Irish bars Krakow, and he saw Duffy's, and he recognised that it was the only Irish sounding name bar in the city. Pod Pubagami, lovely pub, lovely people, but he's probably thought Duffy's a better option to talk to somebody that speaks a bit of English.
Makes sense, yeah.
So I said to him, listen, send me the kid's name. I'll find him on Messenger, I'll find him on Facebook, I'll send him a message, and I'll go and find him. I found him sitting outside a hostel, which had thrown him out a few hours previous, with his clothes between his.
Well, he was having a bad day, wasn't he?
He was. The bad day would be. He was crying. These two
out of the hostel with your clothes sitting there on the curb, and ripped off at a strip club. And welcome to Krakow. Yeah.
Pretty much, and the guy that was with him, the two of them, the one guy lost 1,100 off his credit card, the other guy lost 908. Euro, yeah. So his father asked me, could I take care of them? So I picked them up and put them in the car, brought them down to the bar, got them some food on the food trucks, gave him €400. His father said he'd transfer it to me, that he'd find a way of transferring it to me, Western Union or something. I said, don't worry about it, he's fine. He'll be okay. I'll get him a little place to stay. You know, there's some friends of mine have a hostel just not too far from the bar. So I got them a place to stay for the night, and They get themselves together. They needed a wash and some food, basically. You know what I mean? They had been in the strip club. They got separated. One guy was put one end of the room. The other guy was put the other end of the room. And both credit cards were skimmed. Which was very unfortunate for the two boys because they were interrailing. They had no money to go any further. They only wanted to go home. I was very sad to talk to them, actually. I've had so we leave it at that. So they got sorted out. We took care of them. They were fine. And then I was contacted by the local radio in Ireland and newspaper in Ireland and another newspaper. And because of the message they had left on social media just to say thanks, which was really nice. 8 lads from Limerick the week later weren't so lucky. They lost €8,500 between 4 of them. They walked into the bar on a Saturday morning at 12 o'clock, hungover, asked me, I said, how's your day? What's the plan for the day? And they said, we don't know, we're just going to chill out for the day. We had a rough night last night. I suggested, well, try and avoid the strip clubs. The guy said to me, you're 8 hours too late telling me this. I said, why? He said, my credit card got hammered. He showed me the receipts from his pocket. He took out 4 receipts to the value of, I don't know why he had the receipts.
Any suspicion he'd been drugged or spiked?
No, they were shot out of it. They had six very strong spirituous shots with blackcurrant or something. And they don't remember. But you can have a look on the page on Duffy's Irish Bar Facebook page, and you can see the photographs of the receipts, and you can see the value that they were robbed for.
So you try to spread the word in the pub when you're talking to people, stay out of the strip clubs.
Yeah. Every day. If you're going to a club, don't wear a watch, don't wear a ring, take the chain off your neck, take some money out of the cash machine.
We got to give you a link to the Supervisor documentary.
Well, your show is
TV
amazing. Actually, the show, the coverage that you're giving this plight in the city is amazing.
It's a real fucking joke, isn't it?
It really
the cops
is.
can't stamp this out. But
You talk about cops. Look, I've had them down at the bar 21 times since January. Why would they be better off served going to some of the clubs that are ripping these kids off? And they really are ripping them off. There's no comeback from it. They get nothing out of it. The bank told me, the kids' bank, the 2 boys that were robbed, their bank told me that there was 2 attempted transactions on the Monday, the next day, to make sure that the account was clean.
It's obvious what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on, but nobody does anything about it.
Very strange. Very sad.
Let's turn to some more positive notes before we let you go here, Freddie.
Please.
Now, running the pub, you must see all kinds of weird, funny, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Give us a couple of stories about the colorful scene you find in an Irish bar.
We were just talking a moment ago off air that we all know how beautiful the city is, and its beautiful landmarks and beautiful bridges and castles and vavels and everything else that goes with it. but some kid decided to get engaged in the bar. He said to me, Fergie, look, halfway through the music, can you get the guy just to announce my name?
put the ring in a packet of crisps and bring it home the ball.
Seriously.
All right, that was a first, I guess, right?
For sure. And she said yes, and we had a great party. The whole place lit up. The place was full, actually. And we had
Fergie popping bulbers.
I was popping. We had a bottle of me pocket that night. We had a great night. But I don't know. Strange and wonderful stories.
That was a good one.
That wasn't bad. That was all right for a starter. I had a guy sitting in the bar, 75 years of age. He told me he was number 1 in England in 1971 with a song called Yellow River, and I was able to put it on YouTube and have him sing along with it.
Okay.
And he thought he'd never see himself on YouTube for a start. He's 75. His wife was a dancer in the show bands in Las Vegas.
Good chill.
It's not bad actually. Check it on YouTube.
We'll put a link up.
We'll put a link in the bio. But so every day you find something. There's something. Somebody will tell you a story, or somebody will tell you something interesting. Oh, I was doing the renovation. I was outside the door, and I could hear these people talking like Yiddish, which is not uncommon in the area. Yeah. And I was passing brackets up to the guy on the roof to put up the satellite dish. And this guy, this old Orthodox Jew, was there, and he was arguing with his wife, and they must have been 80 years of age, or maybe more. And I said, it was like 40 degrees. It was like 2 years ago. It was in the middle of the summer. June or July. I said, come in out of the heat. Really, I thought he was going to pass out. I was looking at the guy, and he was in the full long black coat, the whole regalia, right? come in out of the heat. So the 4 of them came in, what turned out to be his son and his son-in-law and his daughter came into the bar. I said, would you like a juice or a drink or a water or something? And they all said, somebody said a cup of tea or a glass of water, whatever. So I brought them a drink. And I was still walking around, and next thing he called me over and he said, come, look. And he took out this piece of paper, this old yellowy, broken piece of paper out of his pocket, out of his inside pocket, and he rubbed it out on the table in front of him. And as he was rubbing it out, he was half tearing it. It was like really old, like newspaper. And he said to me, is this the correct address? He says, I'm sure it's the correct address. He showed me his mother's birth certificate. She was born on the floor of the bar.
Jesus.
Whoa. I'm getting a chill thinking about it now. He remembered living there. They used to trade fish out of the bar in the I don't know what year he's told me. But they used to have bats of fish that they used to trade out the windows in the bar, in the lounge. He could remember, he said that the rats had more food than them. He said he lived there with 12 people in the lounge. And 12 people, like, it's not that big of a lounge now. And he said that 17 people lived where our magazine is, where our storeroom is, and where the toilets are now. Our new toilets, extensively renovated.
No Guinness or nothing.
Respected toilets.
No, but no, I'm just joking. But this is you uncover something.
Yeah, the history of it.
The history is mental, John. Like it's not. It's So he actually. The kicker to the story is that he sent me, his son-in-law sent me a photograph of the guy's mother, and I have it up in the lounge. Her name was Bella, and she was born on the floor of the arch behind where the music is played.
Very nice.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. So I took her for a guided tour, and he showed me a few hidden rooms that I didn't even know were there.
Hidden rooms?
Yeah, there is a hidden room.
Like a episode of Scooby-Doo or something, huh?
Something like that, yeah.
Like, what's there? What was there anything in the room?
The room. Actually, I'm going to turn it into a dark room soon. But
you didn't know it was there.
And I didn't know it was there. It's behind the wall. It's behind an old wooden panel, but it does exist. You should come down and check it out. I had to take down the wooden panel. But anyway, that was their prayer room. That's where he remembers his prayer room.
That's amazing. You got to learn the whole history of the building.
Yeah.
Something similar happened to me.
Yeah, and he took out his son-in-law took out the video camera. I was walking around filming, and they were crying. The mother was crying. He was crying, and he said he could remember seeing the soldiers' boots walking past the window. You talk about Scooby-Doo. It was more like Tom and Jerry when you can only see the lady's legs to this high. But he said that this is what he could see looking out the windows when he was on the floor.
You're below street level, and you can see the
just
people.
Below street level. We're so.
Isn't that something? Oh.
It is, and they filmed it all, and then he sent me the black and white photograph, and I wrote on the back of the photograph that Bella has come home, and it's on the wall in the lounge.
That's a lovely song.
I think it's hard to top that for stories. That's a good one.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to top it, but something just to show how much history all the buildings in Krakow have. Something similar-ish happened to me. A historian was in the pub that I ran one night, and he started telling me about how that building was used specifically to store beautiful cloths traded by the merchants that used to make all the fine what you call them, tapestries. That's the one. Yeah. So all these reams of silks and things and all these fine, and he knew all of this stuff, like, and that building specifically with the trade used to barter them, and Krakow was a big money trading centre, so it was like a he was.
Well, the fact that there was a river running through
wasn't as good as your story, but
it's still a hell of a story.
It is amazing living in a city that has so much history. Like, I mean, and
you don't have to go far in the city. Everybody knows that lives here. You don't have to go far in the city to find a bit of history, or to somebody to.
And for my money, where your bar is one of the most charismatic little corners of Krakow.
Yeah, I love it. I wouldn't move it. Somebody said to me, if you had a choice, where would you put it? I said, I'd put it down. I'd leave it exactly where it is. That's what it's meant to be. Okay, the neighbours aren't as happy as as happy. With that.
Can we ask quickly about the neighbours? Any problems with objections to noise?
Would you live above a lounge of an Irish bar?
No.
So there you go.
No.
So neither would they.
How do they express their dissatisfaction
keep
with
the noise down, and they never get annoyed.
I'll tell you, the guy, one of the residents took me to his upstairs to his lounge, or I don't know, whatever it is, up to his apartment. And he said to me, how can I sleep with this noise? I told him I could hear him banging on the roof, but I thought he was tapping to the music. And I left. So it is difficult for them. I understand. We do try. We try and go acoustic after
legally,
10.
What's the limit again? Like 10 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah.
In the real world, though,
11.
it doesn't happen.
11 probably.
On the weekends.
Well, no, we don't. We open all night.
Good number of people living upstairs, or just a handful? Or?
Luckily enough, one of them lives in Montana, but I think he can still hear from there some nights.
Entirely possible.
Through the planes, yeah, entirely possible.
But no, look at the neighbours are we do try and respect them. Of course, we do. We try and do everything.
You got to get along. I mean, they're going to be there
exactly
long term.
Now, look, if you're gonna stay upstairs in the apartment and say your prayers at 11 o'clock at night, with nothing else on, at least you're going to hear something. But we do try and go acoustic or semi, after a certain time. Mm-hmm. We do try and turn it down a notch. It's hard because these musicians are they some of them are easy to turn down and some of them aren't. But we do try every week.
Fergie's Irish Bar, corner of Wawrzynca. I can never say that name. Is it Wawrzynca?
Perfect,
corner of Wawrzynca and Bartosza.
Yeah.
Krakow's only real Irish bar. Are you proud of that? Krakow's only real Irish bar, and it is, by the way. It's the only Irish operated bar.
It wasn't intentional. I didn't know it, but yeah, look at it. Proud of it. You got to be proud of something. I named the lounge after my father, who passed away 5 years ago. I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of the staff that I have, which are amazing. The 7 of them, we got 7 of the best staff. Regardless of the TripAdvisor comments, we have some of the best staff in the city. TripAdvisor, social media.
Get it off your chest, Fergie.
I don't care about it. I'm going off it all together.
Make everybody
That's why
happy,
I told
right?
you should never have went on it. It's a
somebody-
load of bollocks. Anyone can write whatever they want.
Somebody left a review the other day that said the beer mats were too wet. I found that, and they only give me 1 star for that. So I don't know what to say to that.
Fergie's Irish Bar. If you haven't been, do yourself a favor. Get down there and check it out. Great fun. If you're lucky, the man himself will be there. You can
slag him
chat.
off on TripAdvisor. He will respond.
Be respectful.
I will.
Great live music, and if you haven't been in a while, maybe this weekend is a good time to go back.
Yeah.
Aim your disrespect into the bowl, please.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Disrespect the toilets.
Yeah. Don't
disrespect the
and
toilets.
don't dress up as fucking Robin Hood.
Fergie, last words for listeners for invitation down to the bar.
I love you all. You come down and have a drink. I'll have a drink with you from there.
Yeah, as I said, he's liberal with the shots.
Shots. We all love a shot on a Saturday and a Sunday, and probably on a Friday.